How's it going, guys? This is AB Investments going live for the first time. Um, I don't know why it's not letting me use the camera feature. Maybe it has something to do with subscribers and whatever and likes. So, anyways, gonna go ahead and just speak on this, particularly all the state of the AMC and major like GameStop and most of the meme stocks and what's going on with the state of the market. So on my other videos, I was speaking that, and I was saying that there was a lot of hype going on, especially for next week, and you should be hyped, but keep your eye out on how things are going to break out or how things are going to go down. First of all, I'm hearing a lot of conspiracies from different YouTubers and the YouTubers. You know, the good thing is that almost every YouTuber, and this is the good thing about it. At least there's everything that has good and bad, and the good thing about what's going on, at least, is that almost every YouTuber I've seen has something right or something's correct of what they're saying. Now, obviously, no one is just completely right about everything or perfectly right about everything. But I'll say this: there's a lot of other conspiracies and stuff like that they dive into, and they make things overcomplicated. And I don't know what their intentions are. Obviously, I can't speak for no one. Um, but go ahead and start mentioning some of those, you know, things to watch out for. First of all, let me say, guys, this is not financial advice, or I'm not a financial advisor. Um, all things that I'm going to be saying, or in this channel in general, is all for entertainment or educational purposes only. So, some of those things are like I've heard some YouTubers, a few of them, saying, for example, that the whole scheme of what's happening is that it's the government that's after this. To a certain extent, I feel like it is true, but they're also saying that it's the government slash um, that have constructed all this, and you know the hedge funds and us are enemies to each other, but our common enemy is the government, and that the theory behind this is that the government is trying to bring them all us. They're the ones that have been orchestrating all this movement, and and their objective is to try to control and cornerstone the market or the whole economy. And what their theory is that if they put the hedge funds in such a bad position, they will be forced to go and sell them all their stocks, and that way the government will own all the companies, the stakes in all the companies, and then eventually they'll be able to mandate all their you know mandates on the COVID and all that stuff. Uh, Ludicrously mandated on the entire country. You know, that way, if they own, for example, their theory is that if the government at that point, if 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 what they're saying is to be true, their theory is that you, the hedge funds sell all their positions to get money to pay for the MOS, um, and they'll sell them like all their positions in Tesla or Microsoft or obviously Facebook or anything. And when the government own most of these assets, then they will be able to control the board of that um, particular company, whatever it is, and in this case, all the companies. Now, if this is my opinion, this is the dumbest pile of crap I've ever heard in my life. Um, as to a certain extent, most of this is true. Like, I'll tell you where you break the line. So basically, they're saying that um, what I think is that yes, the hedge funds will need money. All those institutions will need the money. They'll go ahead and yes, they will go to the DTCC, which is powered by about 60 to 70 trillion dollars insurance policy. And yes, the Fed is overloaded with money. That's why they're talking about raising hikes, rate hikes. And what that will do is then it will bring the hedge funds down to its knees, and it will force them to bring in all their collateral. That's why they've been doing repo and reverse repo transactions. And that's why they've been at this high rate at that 1.6, 1.5, 1.6 trillion dollars daily operations, and what's happening is that they're going in, which is the repo part. They throw in all their positions to the Fed, and the Fed in return gives them their money that they need. So they take that money and come back to the market and do what they got to do with us, make some money, and then when they're finished by the end of that day, they will go ahead, or some of them, or most of them, they'll go ahead because by the next day they have to do what they call a reverse repo, which is basically returning all their assets back and giving the um, Federal Reserve all the money that they gave them back, including a 0.5% interest on that, basically on that repo process. So it's good for the hedge funds. Why? Because if they're borrowing like, 10, $50 million, whatever, overnight, we know what they're doing, obviously. This part we all should know is that they bring that 50 million and they use it to short, whether synthetically or real, the market, or load up positions that will kick a price up. And then before the end of the day, I mean, it doesn't take long, they will go ahead. And that's why you see all those little pump and dumps throughout the day, especially in the pre-market, when you see like about 300% gains on a certain stock, an unknown stock, by the time the market opens, before the end of the market, by the time it's like aftermarket in that day, they'll go ahead and sell all their positions and make insane profits on that amount. So would it be worth it to make a point to take that 50 million loan and pay a 0.5% on it? Of course, because they made probably like so many more millions in return in the process of doing so. So yeah, they would love to. I mean, if I give you, if you give me $50 million and I have to pay 0.5, half of a percent, but I have to return it the next day, and I'm in the market, I will do it all day, every day, because any single position I make with that 50 million will for sure either bring a stock down or tick it up. Now, not by themselves. Obviously, we do know that the hedge funds are a gang. So when one hedge fund is about to take a position somewhere, most of the times they talk with each other, just like we're doing that ourselves as well. We're doing the same thing. So they also go ahead and do the same thing. They say to each other where they're going to go and make their position, whether they're going to short a certain stock or load up on a position on a stock similar to the pre-market load up process. When they load on that stock and you see a sudden unknown stock like PALT go up like 2, 3, 400% just in the pre-market alone. That's all their institutions loading up their positions. And as soon as retail investors start jumping on board, or whoever is not with their program, that's when they start collecting profits. And that 50, just the example that I'm throwing up here, that 50 million that you're taking out, you're most likely made another, probably like doubled your money by that time, at least. And when you pay 0.5% out of that, a percent of that, even if you just made 10 million, you just walked out with that. In between 2 days of repo and reverse repo operations, you just made like $8 to $9 million in profit. So that's something that a lot of people are in the dark with that process, and they've been doing so for over a year, almost a year and a half. As far as our plays are concerned, so you can only imagine how much money they have already loaded up and how much money they've made already. So that whole theory, anyways, this goes out to all the people that are saying like, oh, any of these meme stocks will only go 100% or whatever higher. It's ludicrous. Specifically AMC. Personally, I don't believe, this is my opinion, I do not believe that 100, 200, or even 300 is even within the realm of what this play will go to. In fact, that's child's play. I think that it can easily go above that $500-600 with no problem. And if it's about the theory of whether there's enough money out there to cover that, yeah, it's not coming only out of the government. These guys have been getting paid and been making so much money corruptly over the past year and a half, to the point where they already got all these trillions somewhere, obviously, as long as they didn't ship it out to Cayman Islands and private bank accounts. So it's not just the reverse repo and repo operations, the 1.6 trillion daily, that is in play here. You know, it's obviously the rest of the money. One is in the DTCC insurance policy, but the insurance policy, you know, obviously the DTC does not want to have to pay all that and then not have to, you know, get that money back. You know, it's natural. You and I are the same. None of us want to go ahead and give up something that you personally insured, but then not get anything in return. I mean, again, it's all about making money for them or for us. So what they do is, all this year and a half, they've been racking up, making sure that those parties that are doing the repo and reverse repo operations have made enough collateral that can cover all this, so they can make it seem like the DTC stepped in and saved the world and saved our plays by accepting those the insurance policy when it kicks in. I believe it will kick in, and they will have to cover all these plays. And by that time, when that time is right, they'll let it happen. It's not us buying or holding or whatever. Obviously, by now that should be clear that it's been a year and a half that we're just holding and buying more, and we're at like probably 50x the float, and God knows how many billions of extra synthetics have been bought. And obviously, the price, instead of going up, has been going down. So when they're ready, they'll let that price go up. But when they're ready is when the money that has to be paid out to this event has already been secured. So hopefully that can make some sense to you guys. They're just waiting on making sure that this thing can be paid for. You know, that's how just professionally things work out. But the idea of being afraid, thinking that that it's like any of these plays will not be handled or paid out for, that harms the market more than it helps it, because you obviously want everybody to get out of this. You want to end this process, but you do not want, 80% or 90% of the people in this play. And this is why it's important that when we're saying that, we're going to hodl and hold and all that stuff, the true diamond hands process begins when that line starts moving up, because at that moment we control to a certain extent what the price will go to. I'm going to go ahead and say my opinion that I obviously don't see any 100,000 or $1 million or whatever per share. Yeah, I do think that some people will get some crazy numbers like 30 or 40,000 a share due to spikes here and there. But I do think that we're anywhere between the 1 to 10K area as far as where the play will be playing. The play going to $300 or $400 like GME did, and clearly that was not the squeeze because GME still lives on. That government does not want the movement to continue. So this, whenever it starts, will be the end of this run. So remember that when it goes up, they don't want another, holding people. They're still holding, like they don't want 80%, for example, or even 50% of the people that are in AMC or GameStop or Cause or even BBIG and Sundial to still be in the play when the ball goes down, because that means they have to do the same thing for another 6 months to a year, because people, like, the float is not the same, and nothing can move. Like, the company can't move forward and, for example, do blockchain, move all its shares onto blockchain technology. The IEX, what they call the robot Godzilla, as Lou have said and other YouTubers have said or called it, that can operate when you have still people holding so many amount of shares, like more than the shares on the float. So all that will have to be cleared up. So don't sit there and be worried. I mean, again, this is my opinion, guys. Don't sit there and be worried about, is 200 or 300 the ceiling, or 400 or whatever, 500 is the ceiling. Personally, like I'm saying, I'm not worried about that, and that's not where my brackets are. And if you watched any of my previous videos, I've already have mentioned that my personal strategy is always getting my initial investment out, and then I will go ahead and move to my second bracket, which is um, the bracket I personally think. I don't want to reveal any numbers or anything like that, because I don't want people to just be like that. But again, we are all a community, so I think we all owe it to each other to be truthful to each other. So honestly, I'm gonna say my second bracket is anywhere between the $8 to $1,200 range, and that's where I will collect another, uh, you know, profits at that point, because it's not. I already redeemed my initial investment, and at that point, I'll make sure at that second bracket that I'm walking out with good, really good amount of money from this play, and then I would leave. I would say probably about 50% of my position for the community and for the movement, and of course for my pockets. I'm not going to sell myself cheap, guys. I didn't do this for a year and a half, um, and did not sell in June of 2021, so I can come out with a few extra $1,000 or whatever the case may be. Uh, and again, you have to dream big in order to come up big. Um, so if you see that, if that makes any sense to you, it is. That I'm glad. If it doesn't, then it is what it is. This is my theory. This is what I'm going to do. Everyone can do and should do what they want to do. Do not make decisions based on my decisions, guys. I'm just merely speaking on my own channel. What would it be that I will do, or what I will be doing? So, um, what else I wanted to cover? Um, yeah. So when all this ends, guys, I personally think I would need some time, not just to be away from the market and enjoy whatever happened. No, but we're going to need to make sure that that new IEX system will be a system um, that's not going to be scary, or that's going to screw us over. You know. So therefore, I would conclude this with saying that be careful of the new system that we're all so calling for, because then the very essence of that new system is to make sure this that we're in never happens again. So obviously it's not going to be a good thing when it goes in, but it could be good if no more synthetics happen ever again. Like, what I'm afraid of is that new system, like that robot Godzilla system, will go in and eventually, create its own synthetics in a way, and get rid of them by the end of every day in such a technological and fast way, that obviously this system could not do, and it couldn't cover its tracks. So that's what I'm watching out for. How will it do it? I don't know, but that's my fear, is that it could be so diabolical, that to the point where it can make a crime and clean it up so fast that no one can spot. So, but that will be easy to spot because we can't prepare for what we know, what we don't know, what's to come. Like we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know the future. So, but if there's any fear about that new system, it will be this that I'm just mentioning right now. If that does not check, and that is not something to worry about, then guess what, guys? The future is even brighter than what we're going through right now because congratulating you guys holding through this year plus period. You guys have, every one of us have gained so much knowledge onto the market. You've seen patterns and how crappy things could happen and how good things could happen. And by then, you guys will no longer just be, the apes. It's cool for the movement and cool for the name and the movement, but no, you guys will be very seasoned traders that any of these Goldman Sachs or Wall Street institutions would love to have because you would have a knack for positions and for plays. And you would know that whole psychological effect of you being afraid of losing out on money, that would not coexist anymore because what we endured, no one have endured ever before in the market. So I congratulate everyone. Going to end this live chat on this. Again, I don't know why I couldn't do a face, or a video. It's just like speaking, I guess my voice. So hopefully this was good for now. But again, it's just the beginning, and I'll be coming back with you guys more and more. If you have any questions, please go ahead, like and subscribe to this channel, and write them down in your comments. Thank you. AB Investments back at you again.